Καλώς ορίσατε σε ένα ακόμα on air, διαφορετικό από τα υπόλοιπα.
Διαφορετικό.
Μιας και σήμερα έχουμε ένα αφιέρωμα στο Life Earth που έγινε το καλοκαίρι και είχε έτσι μια σχέση με την οικολογία, με το ότι ο πλανήτης χρειάζεται μια βοήθεια, τον έχουμε καταστρέψει, πρέπει να τον ξαναφτιάξουμε και όλα αυτά τα φοβερά βέβαια, και καταπληκτικά. Δεν το βλέπω να γίνεται. Εσύ το βλέπεις?
Δεν μπορεί να γίνει, δεν είναι θέμα αν το πιστεύεις.
Γιατί?
Γιατί έτσι όπως τα έχουμε καταφέρει,
ναι.
Σωτηρία δεν υπάρχει.
Μάλιστα. Τα καταφέραμε να το χαλάσουμε, δεν τα καταφέραμε να το φτιάξουμε. Δηλαδή.
Κοινώς καλά τα καταφέραμε.
Μάλιστα.
Μπράβο μας.
Λοιπόν, εν πάση περιπτώσει, σιγά σιγά έτσι θα ξεκινήσουμε. Πρώτα θα δούμε ένα βίντεο κλιπ. Γιατί μετά θα πούμε έτσι στα λίγο πιο δύσκολα του αφιερώματος. Πάμε να δούμε Alicia Keys, το καινούριο της, το No One, και επιστροφή εδώ για να δούμε το αφιέρωμα σε αυτό το Life Earth και το τι ακριβώς έγινε εκεί, τι ακριβώς λένε οι γνωστοί διασημότητες, εν πάση περιπτώσει, για την οικολογία και διάφορα τέτοια. Πάμε και επιστρέφουμε εδώ. Λοιπόν, εδώ είμαστε, έτσι, για να δούμε αυτό το μικρό αφιέρωμα που εξασφαλίσαμε για το Life Earth και νομίζω ότι είμαστε από τους πρώτους που θα το δείξουμε. Είναι για ένα DVD διπλό και CD που κυκλοφορεί σε λίγες ημέρες με όλη τη μουσική, με κομμάτια καλά, εν πάση περιπτώσει, από τις 10 συναυλίες που έγιναν το καλοκαίρι για το Life Earth. Πάμε να ξεκινήσουμε να βλέπουμε αυτό το ντοκιμαντέρ, το οποίο μας λέει, εκτός ότι μας μιλάνε άνθρωποι της μουσικής, μας λέει για την οικολογία, μας λέει για το ποιο ακριβώς λόγο έγινε αυτή η όλη κινητοποίηση των καλλιτεχνών και φυσικά θα δούμε και τον Al Gore να μας μιλάει, που πήρε το βραβείο Ειρήνης πριν από λίγο καιρό. Πάμε!
Ladies and gentlemen, times like these demand action. Please sign the Live Earth Pledge.
Just seeing the movie absolutely changed me.
Inconvenient truth terrified the bejesus out of me.
I wasn't aware of all the facts and I wasn't aware of the urgency, and the film just shook me.
I don't think you can see the movie and not wake up the next day and at least know you have to change. I mean, you can not change and know that you're lying to yourself, but you know that you have to change.
It scared the living daylights out of me.
It's something that every single person on the face of the planet needs to see.
I started giving my slideshow 20 years ago, and some Hollywood movie producers saw it and came and suggested to me that I let them make it into a movie, and I was actually opposed to the idea because I had the misconception that a live stage performance couldn't be made into a movie. I am Al Gore. I used to be the next president of the United States of America. I don't find that particularly funny. I'm glad they convinced me otherwise. There was another storm in the 1930s of a different kind, a horrible, unprecedented storm in continental Europe, and Winston Churchill warned the people of England that it was different from anything that had ever happened before, and they had to get ready for it. And a lot of people did not want to believe it, and he got real impatient with all the dithering. And he said this: "The era of procrastination, of half measures, of soothing and baffling expedients, of delays is coming to its close. In its place, we are entering a period of consequences."
Just seeing the movie, seeing The Inconvenient Truth, absolutely changed me.
That film puts it all into a very astonishing perspective. You realize just how bad it is.
It got me very inspired and motivated to be a part of the solution and not the problem.
These are actual measurements of atmospheric temperatures. In any given year, it might look like it's going down, but the overall trend is extremely clear. And in recent years, it's uninterrupted and it is intensifying. In fact, if you look at the 10 hottest years ever measured in this atmospheric record, they've all occurred in the last 14 years. And the hottest of all was 2005. The movie took about 6 months to make. It was made at breakneck pace for a documentary. The medium of the movie is really the queen of media, in my opinion. I mean, the big screen, the communal watching experience in a theater. There's something about that has more power and more of an ability to connect emotionally than any other medium.
I came home to my wife and I said, "Have you seen this movie yet or not?" She said, "No." And we watched it again together, and we, slowly but surely started trying to make changes in our lives to make change. And I think that anyone that's seen that film has had the same reaction.
I just remember walking out and the whole world looked different, and I couldn't believe that. It seemed, environmental scientists have been trying to tell us that our Earth is in danger for so many years, but it had been falling on deaf ears, and I couldn't believe that we'd ignored it for so long, and now we've got to a point where it's really urgent and we've got to do something straight away.
Inconvenient Truth expanded my noggin.
I think the most important thing that I got from the film was the fact that this isn't something that's out of our control. It's very much something that the human population can have a tremendous effect on if we make some changes.
Yeah, I recycle. Yeah, I turn off lights and stuff, but I didn't really understand the severity of the whole issue, and the film just shook me. It was like a wake-up call.
It was ideally suited to the message that I've been trying to deliver for 30 years about the climate crisis, because it takes time. It's a complicated message. The visual nature of the graphics, the slides, it's much easier to absorb a lot of information when it's in pictures and when it's in patterns, and you try to absorb them one by one. It's hopeless, for me anyway.
Well, the first time I saw Al Gore's slideshow, halfway through it, my wife and I, we actually left. It was so disturbing. About 6 months later, Paramount was going to release a movie called Inconvenient Truth about Al Gore's slideshow. And over the next few weeks, I really discussed it with my wife and my children, and we became more aware. And I said, I think we really need to do something.
Carbon dioxide, having never gone above 300 parts per million, here is where CO2 is now. Now, if you'll bear with me, I want to really emphasize this point. Here's what it's going to be in less than 50 years. You've heard of off the charts. Within less than 50 years, it'll be here. So the movie had an even bigger impact than I hoped that it would. I'm very happy about that. Of course, we've still got so much work to do.
From my own personal experience, my family, we go up to a cabin in the Sierras, And when I was a little kid, we'd sled in the snow, we'd go skiing, and in the last 5-10 years, there's simply not been any snow.
I'm a pretty avid surfer, and I love the ocean, and it's important to me. And everything from the pollution I see in the waters to like, from what I understand with global warming, some of our best surf breaks won't exist anymore in 20 years.
I just my wife gave birth to our son who's now 10 months old. And I want him to grow up in a nice, safe environment and not have to worry about whether or not there's a hole in the ceiling,
It's a global citizen problem. This is the problem that's not about the haves to the have-nots, but rather it's about everyone. And now millions of people have seen this film. I thought, what if we can create an event that's the next step and give Al Gore the microphone to 2 billion people?
Actually, Kevin Wall contacted me through mutual friends, and we met several times to talk about the idea of Live Earth. And of course, he's the one with the experience and the talent on putting together a production like Live Earth.
And the result 6 months later is Live Earth, this global event today.
It didn't take a rocket scientist to understand from day one that concerts focused on saving the global environment needed to walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
Hopefully it doesn't create a lot of haters too and have people just be like, oh man, these guys are, because sometimes these things have backfired too and just get people mad.
People get mad, you try to do something positive, you know what I'm saying, but you can't listen to them.
We know as bands the amount of flying we do, the amount of lights we use and the electricity that we use, that we're not very green. And so it's great to feel like it is possible to actually do things in a kind of energy-saving way.
To be honest with you, I'm slightly annoyed at this kind of right-wing reactionary press now against kind of like Live Earth and the concept of climate change and like bands being wasteful.
Well, I think there's a flawed logic at work because people aren't going to be sitting on their asses not breathing all day. They would be out in their cars doing things, so it's not like they wouldn't move.
So we're asking people to measure, reduce, and offset their own carbon footprint. We can't do that without walking the talk ourselves. So that's what we've done. We've measured the footprint, we've reduced it everywhere we could, and where we couldn't reduce it, we've offset it.
With all the three aspects we go through, energy, waste, and transportation, it really comes down to reducing first. That's the key. It's been the mantra of sustainability for decades. And we've really tried to incorporate that in as our first step to greening Live Earth. Events like this, trash is unavoidable. You can do a good job in the way you procure certain things to try to minimize it, and also in the way that you dispose of the waste to make sure that it's not going to your traditional locations, make sure it's not going to your landfills or just to be fired, make sure it's being recycled.
Those people standing by garbage bins are volunteers. They are called green volunteers. And they are standing by to make sure people are throwing right things into right bins. The chopsticks, they will be recycled into paper, used but still pretty clean paper dish. This will turn into toilet roll. This is a plastic cup. It's made of vegetable oil and it's biodegradable. Now this is a PET ball. They will be revived as plastic, and PET ball caps and other plastic, mixed paper, and these are all recyclable.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, Live Earth is going so far as to even green porta potties
that come complete with more recycled toilet paper, eco-friendly soap, and all the cleaning products used to maintain this beautiful facility are also environmentally friendly.
And delicious.
What we're doing here is transforming the toilet experience into an art space. But the other thing is that there's a massive environmental bonus because we don't use any water at all. There's a very large decrease in the amount of material that needs to be removed from site. First of all of the solid material actually stays in the wheelie bin, and by adding the sawdust, what you're actually doing is creating a carbon, nitrogen, oxygen balance that's really appropriate for composting.
The challenge of really greening a venue is a lot of it happens behind the scenes. What people see is they see the lights going on. They don't see the power that's coming in from the windmills. They don't see the power from the biodiesel that's sitting out back behind the stage that's going into the generators.
So this entire production, all the energy that we're using for the stage, the lighting, the sound, everything, is all being produced with biodiesel. So that's actually a zero carbon source.
Kevin and his team from the very start have gone to great lengths to set new standards for CO2 reductions, recycled materials, making it extra easy for people who take mass transportation to do so to the concerts.
We work with the artists. We help them figure out what's the most sustainable way they can actually get to the event. A lot are taking turboprops, lowers the emissions of a flight, taking commercial flights, taking public transportation to the event. The important thing to remember about Live Earth is people can get involved in the solution in different ways.
Hey, I'm Fred from Taking Back Sunday. And I want to show you what I'm doing to lower my carbon footprint. This is used vegetable oil. We call it WVO for waste vegetable oil. And it's the stuff in the fryers that French fries cook in and Chinese food and all kinds of good stuff. And when they are done with it, they need to get rid of it. So I take it and I filter it and this car runs on it. And I'm going to show you how. Come into my lab. This is all I have to do to get it into my car. The auxiliary tank is in the wheel well here, and this has a heating coil in it. So what you do is you start the car in diesel, and after a couple miles, I'd say 5 minutes, you switch over to vegetable oil. First time I switched was highly uneventful. I was going 60 on the highway. Flip it over, and it felt no different. It runs no differently on vegetable oil. All right, we got enough to get to the show today.
My name is Andre Micah, and I am the executive in charge of production for worldwide media for Live Earth. My job is to produce a 22-hour world feed, which will go to about 130 countries around the world to an audience of somewhere between 2.5 and 3 billion people right now. Our goal is on this show is not to ship a lot of tapes and not to use a lot of tape. It's all said and done. I think we'll be closer to 100 hours. We initially thought we would create a lot of assets that we'd ship around the world. Now what we're doing is using satellite transmission, a much more efficient way to do it than traveling or buying tape.
We're perfect here, man. Rock and roll. Great job.
That'll be it.
So we're here in World Feed Master